Hey everyone, welcome back to EV Outdoors. So, Rivian wants you to pay up to $2,500 for Autonomy Plus. But right now, the feature set's kind of limited. So the real question is it worth paying for in 2026? Or are you better off just sticking with the standard features? So today, we're gonna test both back-to-back in a 2026 R1S, and I'm gonna show you exactly what you get and what you don't, so you can decide if purchasing the Autonomy Plus is the right decision for you. I'll also come back at the end of the video and give you my opinion on who I think it's right for and who I think should probably wait or just use the standard features. So let's get into it. But first, if you're new here, my name is Ken and I make videos about living and adventuring with electric vehicles, and I like to do it outdoors or sometimes in a vehicle, like as is the case today. Now, if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and click on subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming content. And if you hit that like button, others will be able to find us just a little bit easier on YouTube. Let's get into it. Okay, folks, so I'm just gonna set the stage here. This is April of 2026, so we haven't gotten the additional Rivian Autonomy Plus platform features. And my wife's R1S here, tri-motor, just had the free trial of the Rivian Autonomy Plus expire. For those of you who don't know, basically without the subscription to Autonomy Plus, you get the same functionality that you have in a Gen 1 R1S or R1T, and I'll show you that in a minute. But in order to get the lane change on command, the universal hands-free, and the upcoming auto park and on-ramp to off-ramp functionality, you will need to subscribe to the Rivian Autonomy Plus, or you can pay a one-time fee of $2,500 at the time of this recording. Now, if you're leasing like we do, it may not be worth it to pay the $2,500. I haven't asked Rivian if that $2,500 package is transferable. I'm assuming it probably isn't, but I'll ask Rivian, I'll reach out to them, and I will post down in the comments. This particular vehicle has no Connect Plus, and it has no Rivian Autonomy Plus subscription or trial. So we're gonna see what the basic features are that you get, and then after that, we're gonna subscribe. And you guys are gonna laugh at this. My wife told me, and my wife never used the autonomy features before. She just started using them when she got this vehicle. And my wife was kind of bummed, and she said, I really like being able to put my makeup on the way to work. And so I said, that's it, we've got to subscribe. So we are going to subscribe, and then I'm going to show you guys the difference in the feature set. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to test out the non-Rivian Autonomy Plus service. This is going to be basically the same thing you get on Gen 1 at no charge, you get on Gen 2 at no charge, which this may actually work for a lot of folks. So most of you already know on Gen 2, you pull towards you 2 times, and that engages the system. So a couple of differences. You do need to keep your hands on the wheel at all times. This is not universal hands-free. Universal hands-free requires the Autonomy Plus. The other thing you're not going to get is lane change on command. Now, what'll happen here when I go to change a lane is exactly what happens on Gen 1. So let me show you. I'm going to try to change into the center lane here, and it's going to give me that arrow. I'm going to go over here, and then it's going to re-enable itself. Now, if you can see that, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the right lane. Okay. We do have, however, the driving profiles though that we have on Autonomy Plus. And if I hit this left arrow here, I can switch to medium, mild, and spicy, of course. When you're commuting, when my wife's commuting, I know she likes the spicy because oftentimes if she doesn't have it in the spicy mode, people will cut in front of her. But you can see this is almost exactly the same as the experience you get on a Gen 1. I am getting the prompt to keep my hands on the wheel. And as far as keeping your hands on the wheel, folks, you don't need to like hold it in a death grip. If you just keep a couple of your fingers on the back of the steering wheel, I've found that that's often enough to keep the system happy. Now obviously when Rivian updates this, supposedly by the end of 2026 we're going to have auto park and we're going to have on-ramp to off-ramp on highways. When they update that, that's going to be a little bit more of an incentive, and as they continue to update the software, it's going to be, again, more and more of an incentive to either pay that subscription fee or pay the one-time fee. So the first thing we're going to do is open our settings. And we have the settings cog here, but if you don't, you can either swipe up from the bottom or you can hit these three dots over here on the right and you're going to tap settings. Once you get into your settings, if you tap upgrades, this will give you the available upgrades. Now you can see we don't have Connect Plus on this vehicle at all, and we don't have the Autonomy Plus. We're going to scan that QR code. We're going to opt for the monthly plan because we are leasing the vehicle. And I'm just going to say subscribe now. All right, and it says our purchase is complete. Now we purchased the upgrade in the app. Let's go back here and see if it's got our upgrade. Active for Autonomy Plus. So now we're ready to jump back on the highway and test out Autonomy Plus. So we're going to double tap here and we can see that universal hands-free is active, so we don't have to keep our hands on the wheel. And as you guys have seen before, if I go to change lanes, I will be able to change lanes automatically instead of having to manually intervene to change lanes and then have it resume, like I showed you earlier in the video. Now it is asking me to keep my hands on the wheel, which I'm not sure why it's doing that. I think it's because it was a lane merge. Okay, so let's see if we can do a lane change on command here, and we are. We can see the lane change on command is working properly. As I noted in one of my previous videos, folks, when you have it in the spicy mode and you do a lane change, it gets a little aggressive. We can see the system works very well. So let's go back to EV Outdoors headquarters and I'll give you guys my final thoughts on this, whether I think you should buy it or whether I think you should pass or wait until Rivian develops the system a little bit more. Okay folks, so I think the bottom line is if you drive a lot of highway miles or you have a long commute, it's probably worth it to purchase or subscribe right now. If you don't, then it's probably better off to wait because the basic system is still pretty good. Another scenario too is if you're just doing it for summer road trips, just subscribe for the summertime, 3-4 months, and then cancel after that during the times when you're not using the system to maximize your cost savings. What do you guys think? Are you going to subscribe or are you going to pay the one-time fee? Or are you just going to wait until they add more features to see where this goes? Let us know down in the comments section. Folks, remember to hit that like button so others can find us just a little bit easier on YouTube. Click on subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming content. Hug the people you love. We will see you next time.